Cool. Thank you everyone for coming here, and thank you Victor's mom actually. But thank you for organizing this and helping me come here. I think this is a really great opportunity for everyone. I think this class is really good because in my internships, basically the ability to speak publicly is the single most important skill for success in the business and elsewhere. So I think this is a great program, and I appreciate the opportunity to come here to give a presentation to you guys. And hopefully you guys will find it kind of helpful as well. So basically what I'll be talking about today is kind of a way of doing things that essentially has helped me get into MIT and then helped me do pretty well at MIT. And like people always say, oh, you're so smart, blah, 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 but the thing is I'm not smart at all. So like back in 2nd grade, I got like B's and C's and D's. I got a D- in French back in 3rd grade. In 7th grade, for example, I used to be in this math team and I was on the C team. So like there's 15 people above me in math team, and math is supposed to be my strongest subject. So like, I'm not smart, and the only reason I was able to get into MIT and do all this stuff is just because I planned effectively. And I think for the first 7 years of my life, it's because of my first 13 years of my life is because of my parents. And after that, I think I kind of got their habit of planning effectively. But I think I hope to share with you some lessons of how to plan effectively. So kind of the agenda. The audience is a little not what I expected, but regardless, I think we're going to talk about 2 or 3 things. So the first thing is why attending a good college is important, but not for classes. So I went to MIT, and classes at MIT have mostly been useless. So what actually is important at top colleges, from my experience. Second thing, I think this applies mostly more to the younger students in this audience, but like how do you get in? So again, I'm not smart. Like I'm not naturally smart, and then I only got in because I was ambitious, or my parents were ambitious for me, and they helped me plan effectively, and then I kind of got the habit as well. And I'll walk you through for the younger people in my personal application to MIT and Stanford, just so you can get a sense of like what awaits you at the end of your high school journey. And again, what really matters in college admissions. But I think I can also talk a little bit about like what life is like in college and the things that you should, especially for the people who are going to be freshmen next year, like what you should really focus on based on just my experience. Obviously yours is going to be different, but listen to that I'll share. Alright, so why this talk? Basically the idea came about when I read the article by, I don't know if you, the Tiger Mom, Amy Chua or something. So for those who don't know, she's a Harvard, she's a professor at Yale Law School, went to Harvard, and she raised 2 daughters. And she just wrote a blog saying that the Asian way of raising kids is superior. Why is that? Because you raise competent children who are smart, hardworking, and all that stuff. So her daughter did get into Harvard and Yale, so she's successful in that aspect. But her daughters hate her. Her daughters like apparently have nightmares all the time about like, her parents yelling at her for like not passing a test or something. So like essentially like Asian parents, they are the hardest working people in the world, I think. But on the other hand, we do not have like the connections or any of that to like really basically like if you have a good map of knowing what to do, things are much easier. If you don't have a map, it's like trying to drive through a forest with just nothing, and like it's much harder. So like I'm trying to, I guess I've been through this experience, so I want to share with you some lessons that I've learned so that you could work less hard but get more results. That's ultimately what we're going to do. So again, Harvard, the Tiger Mom is half right. So her children work basically the hardest of any Asian people right now. Like apparently they practiced piano for 6 hours a day, practiced violin for like 8 hours a day, got yelled at, did all that stuff. But the end result is still like she just got into Harvard and Yale. And like a lot of the stuff that, as a result of that, isn't kind of useful. Like piano and violin are completely useless other than that, I would say. Like all those hours are wasted in my opinion, because even though she did get to perform in Carnegie Hall, like 20 years down the line, all that's not going to matter. So kind of my philosophy is I think you should just begin with the end in mind and then work backwards to get what you want. So again, this is kind of the structure of the rest of the talk. So step 1, decide what you want. Step 2, figure out how you're going to get it. And then if you want to pay the price, and then if not, and then do it. So basically, for this talk, I'm going to assume that everyone wants to get into, for the people who aren't in college, I'm going to assume that everyone wants to get into as good as college as they can. And for people who are already in college, I'm going to assume that you want to just make the most out of your college experience as possible. So first, I'm going to talk about why it is important. It is indeed important to go to top college, especially for the younger people in the audience. So again, like with respect to this first point of deciding what you want, I think the best advice I've ever gotten in my life was the following. So you can only make something real once it's in your imagination. Like everything that's ever happened has started off as a thought in your imagination. The fact that I'm at MIT resulted from the thought of my, so basically like 13 years ago, my mom had this idea that I could go to MIT, and without that thought, I would not be here today. So like basically everything starts off as a thought. And I think the most important thing is to figure out what you want, like have a vision for what you want. And I think, for example, Victor is a really good good example of this, because I think he has a really clear idea of what he wants to do in his future. Like it excites him, he's passionate about it, and that, in my opinion, is going to really help him in the next 20, 30 years of his life, because that focuses your efforts. But essentially, so what do you want to be, right? So like I think people are genetically proportioned to be various things. So like you can be in entertainment, arts, business, medicine, law, politics, engineering, finance, academics, whatever, right? And like there's equal number of people predispositions in each of these places. So this is why college is important. It's because except for entertainment and arts or sports, like everything below here all require, or all top, like the best people in almost all these places have attended, like colleges have helped them a lot. Like academics, obviously, like all the top finance people have all gone to good colleges. So like basically college is important. So I guess why is college important? So I guess there's like 3 or 4 reasons why college is important, and I hope that this will kind of illuminate why they're important. So the first thing is that classes are the least important. So MIT supposedly had the hardest classes in the world, that you do like tons of pieces, like you have lots of homework, apparently it's the most rigorous in the world. But, so they do teach you how to think, right? They teach you the math fundamentals and like how to integrate and whatever, but that's like the details that you actually learn is really useless. So I'll give you 3 examples. So I took, I'm a finance major, so I'm a finance, math, and CS major at MIT. So I took a bunch of finance classes. I basically took all the good finance classes at MIT. And I've also worked in industry at Goldman Sachs and a couple of other hedge funds for 2 summers. And the stuff that you learn in classes are like 30 years old. Like nobody uses that stuff anymore. So all the finance classes are useless. All the math classes, they're really about like abstract linear algebra and like all the stuff which have no application in real life. And all the computer science stuff, so sure, like it's about like how to build transistors and how to build like these circuits, and like it's, again, you don't ever use it in like 99% of the things. So classes aren't really important, and unless you want to become a professor, classes aren't the most important thing. And I think the quality of classes at like Carnegie Mellon or versus MIT, they're very much similar, especially at the undergraduate level. So classes are not the reason you go to these colleges. So what is important? So I think the most important thing is peers. There's a saying that goes, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And let me give you 2 examples of like why peers are extremely important in colleges. I think one of the best advantages of going to a good college is the fact that your peers are as strong or stronger than you in many aspects, right? So I think you're all familiar maybe with the story of how Facebook got founded. So there's Zuckerberg right there, but it's not him who founded Facebook. It's him and 3 other guys. There's Dustin Moskovitz, who basically was the CTO for the first 2-3 years. He did a ton of the grunt work. There's Eduardo, and then there's Chris Hughes, who was the PR chair, basically like helped connect Facebook with the rest of the world. So the crazy thing is that these 4 people were all roommates. So the fact that if you go to a good college, the chances of you being in contact with people of higher caliber than you are in certain areas are much stronger than if you just go to like a random college. So I think peers is the single most important thing that good college affords, and it's the single most important thing that I've learned. I've learned way more from my classmates and my friends than I have in any classes. And let me give you another example, a more personal example. So I founded a company called Brain Genie, which is kind of a adaptive learning system that kind of basically it measures. It's like a collection. It's an online education startup founded by a team of MIT students. And this startup, so basically I'm the idea conceiver, but the website itself was built by this guy. And the curriculum was gotten through a teacher from this guy. And then this guy built the algorithms who analyze what the students should know next. And this guy built a lot of the technology framework for that. So if it weren't for these people, I would not have, this website would not be possible at all. But it's only because these people were all in handfuls reach. These are our friends. I could literally just, this guy lived next door, this guy lived next door, this guy, literally next door. This person lived, I think I was roommates with him freshman year or freshman spring. And this guy I met randomly at this conference. So going to a good college puts you with good peers. I think that's the single most important thing if you go to a good college. Another important thing is kind of a attitude, I guess, where people have this presupposition that the Ivy leaders are really cocky and arrogant or whatnot, and it is definitely true. And I think it's a good thing it's a good thing in the sense that they believe that they can do anything. They believe that if I'm not going to do it, then who else is going to do it, right? And it's a little unjustified, but it's completely good for you. So I think anybody can have this attitude of, if I'm not going to do it, who's going to do it? So let me give you a couple of examples of this. So Dropbox is a startup. Does anybody use Dropbox? But anyways, Dropbox is a startup founded by this MIT guy in my fraternity. He graduated 3 years ago, and now his company is worth $1 billion, and he is worth $250 million. Basically, his idea is imagine I have 4 computers, right? But I can't easily access my files from all 4 computers unless I have a USB drive. But I can just put my files in one folder, and then that file will instantly appear on all 4 computers. So that's his idea. And he's like, man, I need a better way to do this. And I think at other colleges, you're like, oh man, I wish somebody else did it. But the cockiness that they give you at these good colleges just inspires him to, okay, well, I'll just do this myself. And so he got a bunch of friends to work on it, do it himself, and then eventually now he's worth $250 million. Basically, the attitude is not isolated to these top colleges. Anybody can have this attitude, and it's extremely, extremely valuable. I think this is the second reason, huge reason why people at these top colleges supposedly succeed, is because they dare to dream big. They think that they can do it. And